and off you go.
Prema-dwani.
Ramananda and Jadwani, yeah? Is that right? Okay,
yes,
go for Ramananda. Hadibol.
Jai Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shri Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Shri Shri Radha Damodar Jiv Ki Jai. Om Vishnu Pada Paramahans Parivrajakaacharya Ashtotra Shat Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Shri Gurudev Ki Jai. Nitrila Pravishnu Vishnu Pada Ashtotra Shat Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Trivikram Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nitrila Pravishnu Vishnu Pada Ashtotra Shat Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nitrila Pravishnu Vishnu Pada Ashtotra Shat Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. आचार्य केशरी परम गुरुदेव नित्रिला प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। जगत गुरु नित्रिला प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी ठाकुर श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। महाभागवत श्री गौर किशोरदास बाबा जी महाराज की जय। सप्तम गोस्वामी सचिदानंद श्री भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय। वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथ दास बाबा जी महाराज की जय। श्री गौड़ी वेदांताचार्य श्री बलदेव विद्याभूषण प्रभु की जय। श्री गौड़ी रसाचार्य श्री विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर की जय। श्री नरोत्तम श्रीनिवास श्यामानंद प्रभु त्रय की जय। श्री कृष्णदास कविराज गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय। श्री वृंदावन दास ठाकुर की जय। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्ट दास रघुनाथ शर गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय। श्री लोकनाथ दास गोस्वामी की जय। श्री भूगर्भ गोस्वामी की जय। श्री स्वरूप दामोदर गोस्वामी राय रामानंद सिखी मोहिती माधवी देवी गौर पार्षद वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री अंतरद्वीप मायापुर श्रीमंत द्वीप गोद्रुम द्वीप मध्य द्वीप कोल द्वीप ऋतु द्वीप जौन द्वीप मोत्र द्रुम द्वीप रुद्राद्वीपात्मक श्री नवद्वीप धाम की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपी गो गोवर्धन द्वार स्वनात्मक श्री ब्रज मंडल की जय। सर्वहिष्ट प्रदाता श्री गिरिराज गोवर्धन महाराज की जय। श्री ललिता विशाखा आदि सखी वृंद की जय। श्री अनंग मंजरी की जय। श्री कमल मंजरी नयन मंजरी विनोद मंजरी मंजरी आदि मंजरी की जय। जय श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड यमुना गंगा तुलसी भक्ति देवी की जय। कुल देवी भगवती पूर्णमासी देवी योग माया की जय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय। श्री जगन्नाथ वरदेव सुभद्रा सुदर्शन चक्र जी की जय। पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र श्री जगन्नाथ पुरी धाम की जय। भक्ति विघ्न विनाशनकारी नरसिंह भगवान की जय। भक्त प्रवर श्री प्रहलाद महाराज की जय। चारों धाम चारों आचार्य चारि संप्रदाय की जय। आक्रमत राज श्री चैतन्य मठ की जय। श्री केशव जी गौड़ी मठ श्री रूप सनातन गौड़ी मठ श्री गोपीनाथ भवन की जय। श्री गिरिधारी गौड़ी मठ की जय। श्री श्री केशव जी गौड़ी मठ कोलद्वीप धाम एवं श्री गुरुदेव समाधि मंदिर की जय। जय श्री दामोदर गौड़ी मठ की जय। श्री रमन बिहारी गौड़ी मठ की जय। श्री राधा माधव गौरवाणी गौड़ी मठ गंगा माता गौड़ी मठ की जय। श्री वासंगम इन हैकनी की जय। श्री भक्ति जुम की जय। अनन्य शाखा मत समूह की जय। कलयुग पावन त्रिभुवन मंगलकारी गोलोकेर प्रेम धन हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। जुगल नाम हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय। मृदंग करताल की जय। जय श्री भक्ति कमल गोविंद महाराज की जय। श्री भक्ति स्वरूप दामोदर महाराज की जय। श्री गौर गोविंद गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। श्री भक्ति विज्ञान भारती गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। श्री भक्ति वल्लभ तीर्थ गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। श्री भक्ति कुमुद संत गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। श्री भक्ति वैभवपुरी गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। श्री भक्ति जीवन जनार्दन गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। श्री भक्ति दैत्य माधव गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। श्री भक्ति रक्षक श्रीधर गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। श्री भक्ति श्री रूप सिद्धांति गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। श्री भक्ति प्रमोदपुरी गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। स्वपरिकर जगत गुरु श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। वृंदावन वासी भक्त वृंद की जय। नीलाचल वासी भक्त वृंद की जय। नवद्वीप धाम वासी भक्त वृंद की जय। गौर देशवासी भक्त वृंद की जय। जय देशे वैशे इंक्लूडिंग इंग्लैंड भक्त वृंद की जय। होया छेन होइबेन प्रभु जतदास की जय। Devotees watching on Facebook, YouTube and Zoom की जय। आनंद कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। श्रीपाद भक्ति वेदांत नेमी महाराज की जय। श्रीपाद भक्ति वेदांत त्रिदंडी महाराज की जय। यशोदानंदन प्रभु की जय, ऑल अदर वैष्णवस की जय, समागत भक्त वृंद की जय, श्री कार्तिक व्रत की जय, दामोदर व्रत की जय, व्रत पालनकारी भक्त वृंद की जय, श्री ब्रजमंडल धाम परिक्रमा की जय, श्री गोपाष्टमी की जय, निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल।
Hari Bol. I'll share the bhajan so we can all sing along. 1 second. Can you see that okay?
Yes.
Great.
मेरे नंद जी को लालायल बेला, मेरी मटकी में मार गयो धेला। मेरे नंद जी को लालायल बेला, मेरी मटकी में मार गयो धेला। कभी गाँव के संग
Has he gone offline, Maharaj?
Seems to have done, yeah.
Oh, we'll wait for him to come back.
He went offline yesterday. He's living in a very rural area.
It's a good, it's a good snapshot. We'll just have to wait.
Today, by the way, for everyone's information and understanding, is Gopastami. And we're going to say some words about that. This is why we're singing such a sweet Vrajabasi song now. This is the connection. He'll probably come back when he's finished his bhajan.
Yeah, it's hard to know if he knows. That's the thing. Oh, he's gone. Yeah, he knows. He'll be back. He'll be back.
Can you put the words up again, Yashoda? Okay.
The words are up, no? Yeah, the words are up. Here he is. Ramananda, great. Welcome back, Prabhu.
Thank you. You will not believe it, but I actually had a power
You
cut.
hardly made it through the first, you might as well start again.
Yeah, I had a power cut. I'm back on my phone.
Oh, okay, okay.
That does not only happen in India, Maharaj. Oh, but how will I look at the words now? Can you put them back up?
They're not up?
I don't see them.
Okay, I'll stop sharing and I'll reshare. You know.
Okay.
About now.
Yes. Ooh, that's small from a phone. Jesus. मेरे नंद जी को लालायल बेला, मेरी मटकी में मार गयो धेला। मेरे नंद जी को लालायल बेला, मेरी मटकी में मार गयो धेला। कभी गाँव के संग, कभी बचरन के संग, कभी सखाओं के संग में अकेला, मेरी मटकी में मार गयो धेला। मेरे नंद जी को लालायल बेला, मेरी मटकी में मार गयो धेला। कभी श्रीदाम के संग, कभी सुबल के संग, कभी श्रीदाम के संग, कभी सुबल के संग, कभी मधुमंगल संग में अकेला, मेरी मटकी में मार गयो धेला। जी को लालायल बेला, मेरी मटकी में मार गयो धेला। कभी ललिता के संग कभी विशाखा के संग, कभी ललिता के संग कभी विशाखा के संग, कभी ललिता के संग कभी विशाखा के संग, कभी राधा जी के संग में अकेला। मेरी मत की मैं मार गयो धेला। मेरे नंद जी को लाला यल बेला। मेरी मत की मैं मार गयो धेला। Now I see skills training UK. मेरे नंद जी को लाला अलबेला। मेरी मत की मैं मार गयो धेला। कभी जमुना के तट कभी गंगा के तट, कभी बंशी बता मैं अकेला। मेरी मत की मैं मार गयो धेला। जी को लाला यल बेला। मेरी मत की मैं मार गयो धेला। कभी नंद गाँव कभी बरसाने गाँव, कभी नंद गाँव कभी बरसाने गाँव, कभी संकेत वन में अकेला। मेरी मत की मैं मार गयो धेला। मेरे नंद जी को लाला यल बेला। मेरी मत की मैं मार गयो धेला। कभी राधा कुंद कभी श्याम कुंद, कभी राधा कुंद कभी श्याम कुंद, कभी कुसुम सरोवर में अकेला। मेरी मत की मैं मार गयो धेला। मेरे नंद जी को लाला यल बेला। मेरे मत की मैं मार गयो। Then my phone fell on the ground. कभी गोकुल वन कभी महावन, कभी गोकुल वन कभी महावन, कभी गोवर्धन में अकेला। मेरी मत की मैं मार गयो धेला। मेरे नंद जी को लाला यल बेला। मेरी मत की मैं मार गयो धेला। मेरे नंद जी को लाला यल बेला। मेरी मत की मैं मार गयो धेला। मेरे नंद जी को लाला यल बेला। मेरी मत की मैं मार गयो धेला। मेरे मत की मैं मार गयो धेला। मेरे मत की मैं मार गयो धेला। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। निताई गौर हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल। निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। It's the song about Krishna breaking yogurt pot, but he broke my phone, my internet, everything. I have to be careful.
That was very good, Ramananda. You managed to maneuver yourself through a power cut, a phone crash, and me trying to find out some information on the program today and flashing skills training at you. So you did really well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Vanchikalpatrubhischa, Kripasinduevicha, Patitanam Pavanabhyo, Vaishnavabhyo Namaha. Om Gyan Tirumandasya Gyanjana Slakya, Chakshumaditam Yana, Tashmai Shri Guru Namaha. Chinadapi Sunichina, Tarodapi Sahishtuna, Amani Namanadena, Kitni Sadari. Tatenu Kampansu Samik Shamano, Bunjaivat Makritam Vipakam, Hitbakva Vidir Vidam Namaste, Jivita Yamukti Sadaya Bak, Vachavigam, Manashakoravigam, Jivigam, Udarapastavigam, Etan Vegam, Yovishaheta Dira, Savamapimam Pratim Sasisyat, Anya Balasta Sunyam, Gyan Kamadhyana Vratam, Anukalenya Krishna Shiranam, Bhakti Uttama. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadata Shri Vasudeva Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. My Dandavat pranams to my Shri Gurudev Shri Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj, to Shri A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, to the entire Parampara, to our great Rupanuga line, to Shri Raghunath Das Goswami, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, Srila Rupa Goswami, to Lord Nityananda Babu, Lord Chaitanya Babu, and to Shri Radha and Krishna. My Dandavat pranams to all the assembled devotees on Zoom, Facebook, and YouTube, and all those devotees who are going to be watching the recordings in the future. Day 24. We are on day 24. Wow. It's we're hurtling forward towards the crescendo, the final 4 days of Kartik. And today, just the presence, Maharaj will be speaking about this further length later. Today is Gopastami. It's also the disappearance day of Shri Gadadhar Das Goswami. It's also the disappearance day of Shri Srinivasacharya. And it's the disappearance day of Shri Dhananjaya Pandit. So we have 3 disappearance days, a festival day, and we're going to be galloping today. So I'm going to take as little time as possible and then hand over to our speakers. We're going to be going to Nandagrama today, Ter-kadamba. We're going to be going to Asisesvar Mahadeva, Choti Carana-pahadi, Pavana-sarovara, Nanda-bhavana, Lalita-kunda, Uddhava-kyari, Nandakhirak, Sanket, and Prema-sarovara. So 2 days ago, we had another very, very busy day. We had a more relaxed day yesterday with Damodarastakam, and we're now back galloping on our horses again around 11 different locations. So please, I hand over to a warm welcome actually, both to Sripad Bhaktivedanta Tridandi Maharaj and Sripad Bhaktivedanta Nemi Maharaj, actually the other way around, Sripad Bhaktivedanta Nemi Maharaj and Sripad Bhaktivedanta Tridandi Maharaj. A warm welcome to you both. So grateful for this fantastic month of Harikatha. And I think Tridandi Maharaj is going to be starting us off with maps and videos, or videos and maps. Haribol.
Dandavats Yashoda Prabhu. Dandavats all the assembled Vaishnavas. Gurave Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Namaha. I'm first of all offering my millions and millions of Dandavat pranams to the lotus feet of my most beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astotara Shishimat Shila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering millions and millions of Dandavats to our most beloved Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astotara Shishimat Shila Bhaktivedanta Swami Shila Prabhupada, and all our illustrious Rupanuga Guru Vargya, and all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord. My prostrated Dandavats to all of you. A warm welcome today to everybody. So as our dear Yashoda Prabhu was saying, we're on the 24th day, and Srila Gurudev would regularly say, when we reach these greater numbers, he'd say, by the mercy of Krishna, no unfortunate incidents have happened so far. So we should also reiterate that and be appreciative that we are still holding on to internet. It's still there. It's not impossible that it can crash completely, but you know, we're so familiar with it, we just depend on it like it's normal.
Don't chance it, Maharaj. Don't say it.
All right,
we
all
had
right,
calamity. Ramananda's phone fell off, so that's
okay.
That's not...
But we got through it by Gurudev's mercy. So today we're going to watch a video first to introduce us to the places where we're going to go and get a visual before we actually go there. So Yashoda Prabhu, if you'd like to just air that video. By Janardhan Prabhu, very sweet video again of Braj and the different locations. We'll see. Uddhava. It's happening.
Just speak for another 60 seconds or so. The video's not quite loading yet.
So, and then we're going to have a look at the map again, because we're traveling. Yesterday, or the day before yesterday, when we went to Kamyavan, we traveled in the furthest northwest. So today we're coming a little closer to Govardhan, and we're still northwest, but not as far northwest. So we're about 26 kilometers north of Giriraj. Kamyavan is a little bit further. So we're going to see these locations on the map, just so all of you can get your compass bearings on where we've been. Basically, we've almost covered the whole of Braj.
We're ready now, Marsh.
Okay, put it on. Is it happening?
Yeah, just now coming. Hear it?
No.
Can't hear it. Do you hear it?
Yes, yes, yes. Hare Krishna. So the last frame of that beautiful video was, of course, Nandagaon, where we're heading today. Nandagaon. It's named after Nandi. Nandi is the bull carrier of Shivji, Nandishwara. Ishwara is the controller of Nandi. So Nandishwara, the beautiful deity of Shivji, is on top of this hill. Shivji wanted to be blessed with having Krishna's residence on his head, just as Lord Brahma wants Varshana to be the residence of Sri Radhika on his four heads. So when we go to Varshana, we're going to 4 hills. But in Nandishwar, there's just the 1 hill, so Nandagaon. So we're coming here now, and if you can pull the map up to begin with, Manjulali, we'll check this out. Okay, so if you expand the map, you can see in Govardhan where we are. So now we're going to cross over again on the road on Govardhan's back. And yes, and we're going to go straight up. No, not so far over there. Yes, up that road. Yes, straight up there. And if you can't leave a trail behind you of red ink or something. Okay, you can just follow the cursor then, everybody. And you can see we're going to go past Varshana. Keep going, and then we're going to go past Sanket, where we're going to come on the way back. And then we're going to reach Nandagaon. And this is our location geographically. So if you want to zoom into the whole of the Braj map, you can get an idea of this particular location. Yes, very good, Manjulali, that's the one. Yes, through Sanket to Nandagaon. And we're going to come back on the same road. Like the other day, we went right around the very edge to Kamyavan at the back there, but now we're just going directly to Nandagaon. So just the appreciation of Nandagaon itself before we visit the places, particularly Ter-kadamba, we should appreciate that today is the 2nd Gopastami. There are 2 Gopastamis in the month of Kartik, which is very auspicious. The first Gopastami is when Krishna is in his Balya Leela, his childhood pastime, and he's allowed to take the calves out. So we describe that quite extensively, but today is Gopastami, when Krishna, those calves have all grown up now, and they will not leave Krishna. So Krishna is forced to now take out the full-grown cows. So then all the elder Gopas, they have a meeting and they decide, yes, we will celebrate Krishna taking the cows out today. So this is the 2nd Gopastami. Yesterday, I think in America and in the UK, was the celebration of Gopastami, but today here in India, where this festival actually takes place, we celebrate it as Gopastami. The first Gopastami didn't take place here in Nandagaon. It was a place called Bashant. It was on the way from Gokul. I've described before that journey from Gokul to Nandagaon itself. Originally, Parjanya, the father of Krishna, of Nanda-baba, was living here in Nandagaon. And he begged Ashishvara Mahadev for a boon. He performed austerities there, which we're going to hear about in a minute. And as a result of those austerities, he got 5 sons. But Parjanya became intimidated by the Keshi demon who was roaming around that area at the time. So he moved to Gokul. But then after all those other demons, Trinavrata, Putana, Shakatasura, etc., made such a disturbance in Gokul, Nanda-baba decided to leave. So he crosses over the Jamuna and he comes out towards Govardhan. And on the way, just before Govardhan, there's a little village called Vasant. So that's the place where Krishna took the calves grazing. And then the whole group of the Brijbasis, that's Vrishabhanu Maharaj and Nanda, they circumambulate Govardhan. And then Vrishabhanu Maharaj, he peels off and goes to his traditional homestead in Varshana on the 4 heads of Lord Brahma. And Nanda-baba proceeds 7 kilometers further to the exalted head of Shivji, who is Nandishwara. So this township where we're coming is Nandagaon, the township of Nandagaon. Also, of course, Nanda-baba he's named after that Ishtadev, Nanda-baba. So this is the place where we're first coming, and we're appreciating that at this Nandagaon, there are so many holy places to see. We're going to be moving at a very brisk pace today. Unfortunately, we can't spend so long in each area. So that's just the dynamic of today's Parikrama, to catch us all in with 2.5 hours or so, 2 hours. So I won't say any more, but that's the basic principle or the picture of Nandagaon itself. And before we go and take darshan of the beautiful deities on top of the hill, we'll take the mercy of Srila Rupa Goswami at Ter-kadamba and get the mercy of him before we proceed into the rest of the holy places around Nandagaon. So dear Bhaktivedanta Nemi Maharaj, he's going to take us to Ter-kadamba and Ashishvara Mahadev. Jai Maharaj, Dhanyavad, Hare Krishna, Hari Bol. Oh, he needs unmuting, Yashoda. Give him the power. Okay, you got it.
We got the power. Om Jnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shlakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namah Namam Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srima Bhaktivedanta Narayaniti Namah Namam Vishnupadaya Prasthaya Bhutale Shri Srima Bhaktividyam Bharati Iti Namane Vancha kalpatribhyascha putitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shadvaita Gadadhar Shivas Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Rama. Of my humble obeisances to my dearly beloved Diksha Guru Nichilit Pravishti Shri Srima Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada, my dearly beloved Shiksha and Sannyas Guru, Rupanugavara Shishima Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, Gurudev, my beloved Shiksha Guru, Shri Bhakti Vidyam Bharati Maharaj, all acharyas now Rupanugavarga, of my obeisances to all devotees present and listening and watching, especially at Tridandigan, Shri Bhaktivedanta Tridandi Maharaj, and my God brothers and God sisters headed by Achyutanandam Prabhuji. Jai Krishna. So we come to Ter-kadamba. Ter means calling. So it's a place where, this is a very, Srila Gurudev's very, very deep mood here. It's a beautiful pastime place, and it's also Srila Rupa Goswami's bhajan kutir. And we used to come with Srila Gurudev, and his mood was very, very, very deep. Ter-kadamba, as Gurudev said, it's right halfway between two very important places, Yavat, which is where Srimati Radhika is living with her so-called in-laws, Jyotila-kotila, and her so-called husband,
Abhimanyu.
Thank you, Abhimanyu. And between Nandagaon. So Ter-kadamba means that Krishna, during the daytime, he would be here. Nanda-baba's goshala is here. He's calling the cows with his flute, and I think Pujabhat Tridandi Maharaj has already given a very, very nice description of how he would call the different groups of cows with his flute. At night time, he would call the gopis, and they would assemble for Ras dance here at this place. Also, being between Nandagaon and Yavat, so there's a beautiful pastime that Shrimati Yashoda Devi calls Radhika every day to come and cook for Krishna. And every day Jyotila objects because she's afraid there's the reputation, Krishna's a flirt, he's cheat, so many things. And then Pavanamasi comes and says, it's okay, you don't have to send Radhika, but if you don't send Radhika, I can see from the stars that your son's going to die and most of your cows are going to die as well. So then Jyoti said, oh, Radhe, Radhe, come here. You have to go to Nandagaon. No, I'm not going. Everyone's complaining. They're making rumors about me. I'm not going. But Jyotila's insisting. And in the end, Radha goes, all right. So then this is beautifully described in Srila Raghunath Goswami and Vilap Kusmanjali. He's describing how they're walking. Lalita Vishaka on either side of Srimati Radhika and Rati Manjari behind, holding her waist because she's afraid that her waist is so thin that it might even snap. And then Rupa Manjari is going ahead as a scout. And then when they get to, when they get to Nandagaon, there's a whole cooking pastime, which I'm not going to go into. But at Ter-kadamba, there's a place just close to Ter-kadamba where Krishna used to milk the cows. So sometimes Radha will come there and then Lalita will say, that nonsense person is going to be milking his cows. I think we should avoid that place. And Srimati Radhika goes, no, why? We should go. So Krishna is very happily milking the cows. Now, when you milk cows, it comes out with quite a velocity. The milk comes out of the udders with quite a velocity. So Krishna aims the milk at Srimati Radhika just as she comes close, and she gets abhishek, milk abhishek. So Krishna is delighted. The cow, of course, is completely delighted. And the gopis are delighted. And Srimati Radhika, inwardly, she's delighted. But externally, of course, she puts on a big pout and a frown and how can you treat me like this? So many moods are there. Then as she's moving on, somehow or other her necklace breaks deliberately. So the pearls are scattered all over the place. And the Sakis, they all help, looking for the pearls, and Radha's looking for the pearls. And they all know this is an excuse because it means that as they're looking for the pearls, she can be looking to Krishna. This is leftish mood. They're pretending that they're not actually particularly interested in Krishna. They're quite haughty. They don't want to associate with him. They're very chaste ladies. But inside, their hearts are melting, completely melting with their love for Krishna and their desire to please him. And their desire to please him comes out in the form of these leftist exchanges, which is very pleasing to Krishna, actually. The right-wing gopis, they can't understand these at all. Chandravali says, that Radha, who does she think she is? That crest jewel of all heroes, Krishna, he's offering a basis. He's even putting his flute and his peacock feather at her foot, and she's turning her head. She won't even look at him. What kind of a woman is that? And Radha thinks, Chandra, she's so cold. So these moods, when they're not in the association of Krishna, they're very, very, very sympathetic to each other. So it's a place of very delightful meeting pastimes. And Rupa Goswami, had his Bhajan Kutir here. And he wrote his books, many of his books here. So Gurudev describes how, when he was writing about Radha Krishna's separation, so the leaves were falling off the trees, Kadamba tree. Kadamba is like Swarupa Srimati Radhika. And then when he's describing their meeting, so then more leaves are coming on the trees. And this beautiful pastime where one day Sanatana Goswami comes. He's visiting Rup. So Sanatana Goswami is Rupa Goswami's senior brother. And Rupa actually worships him. Rupa Goswami is specifically empowered by Lord Chaitanya to distribute his mission and to enunciate all the moods of Prema Ras. And at the same time, he's worshipping his older brother, Sanatana Goswami. So when Sanatana Goswami comes, Rupa's thinking, I wish I had something to offer him. I don't have anything to offer my good brother. So then they're talking, Harikatha, going on. And a young girl comes and says, oh, Baba, I see you didn't have time to go for Madhukari today. So my mother sent some milk and some sugar and some rice. So you could make some sweet rice. And then they're talking and talking and talking and talking. And then after a while, the girl comes back and says, hey, Baba, you're talking so much. Okay, I will make sweet rice. And then Gurudev says she puts sticks and little cow dung, blowing, and then fire comes, and she's making sweet rice. And they say, hey, Baba, you can offer this to Thakurji, and then you can take. And then she's gone. Finally, when Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami come back to ground zero, so Rupa Goswami offers the rice to Thakurji, and then he offers his older brother. And then when they're tasting, so Gurudev says they have spurti of Radha and Krishna. Amazing sweet rice. And then Sanatana Goswami says, Rup, that wasn't a village girl, that was Srimati Radhika. What are you doing? Did you have some desire in your heart? And Rup said, oh, actually, yes. I just wish that I could offer something to my older brother. Loving. And Sanatana Goswami said, don't do that. You're making Srimati Radhika serve us. We should be serving her. So these loving exchanges. So Srila Gurudev was very eager for us to come here. When we first came to Braj, like when I first came to Braj, 96, actually we couldn't get to Ter-kadamba. And then after a while we could get, but it was really difficult. I mean, we were up to our knees practically in mud, and there were thorns and rumors of snakes, and it wasn't an easy ride. Now you get in a coach and just drive down the road. The coach draws up just outside the front door, which doesn't actually get the mood. You know? If you have to struggle a little when you get to the place, oh. And when you just come in coaches and pour out of the coaches and straight through the front door and everything like this, a bit more like tourists. It's a very, very, very beautiful place. So perform Parikrama, and there's sand there, Braj sand, and these beautiful trees. And they made a very wonderful arrangement with, we just got a glimpse, concrete pillars and so the trees are hanging over. There's a whole canopy, big canopy. And you can really roll in Braj dust here, rolling in the dust. It's wonderful. And then Srila Gurudev would sit down, we'd take Darshan, Sri Rupa Goswami's Bhajan Kutir, and there's painting with Rupa Goswami writing and Srimati Radhika coming. And then outside there's a place Srila Gurudev would sit down, and our Krishnadas Prabhu would sing Yang Kali Rupa, Yang Kali Rupa, Sharira Nadaratam, Yang Kali Rupa, Sharira Nadaratam. If Rupa Goswami hadn't come, how would we know about Mathura and Vrindavan? How would we know about the love between Radha and Krishna? He's like a bee collecting the honey from so many different flowers. Who could have done this apart from Sri Rupa Goswami? He's like a swan who can separate the milk from water. And Gurudev would explain a very, very, very deep mood. When we first came, there was an old Baba, I forget his name. And Sri Gurudev used to praise him. He said he was here, this very, very dangerous place, dangerous animals and bandits. And Sri Gurudev praised him like anything. And apparently when he passed away, he was remembering Sri Gurudev when he passed away. Now there's a younger old Baba. Rishikesh, maybe?
Yes.
Yeah. And so he gives very, very entertaining Harikatha here. So it's very deep mood in this place. Very beloved of Srila Gurudev. I mean, the mood is there, you know. There's not many places you can really roll in Braj dust. It's very sweet. And there's a pond here, and then there's a kadamba tree that Srila Gurudev himself planted, the platform commemorating the Rasa Leela. So they're not far from Ter-kadamba. Just over the fields, a little way, is Ashishvara Mahadev. So Pujabhai Tridani Maharaj already mentioned that Parjanya Maharaj performed austerities here, and he worshipped Asisesvar Mahadeva. There's another tall, like Shiva Lingam. Yeah, very good. Surrounded by this Nandi and Ganesh and Parvati and so on. So he performed austerities here. He was concerned. I've heard two things. I've heard that he performed austerities here, and as a result, he got 5 wonderful sons, including Nanda-baba, who had Krishna for his grandson. But I've also heard that Parjanya was concerned because Nanda-baba didn't have any children. So he performed austerities, and because of those austerities, Nanda-baba had Krishna as his child. In any case, certainly Parjanya Maharaj, Nanda-baba's father and Krishna's grandfather, dearly beloved grandfather, he performed austerities here. And Ashishvara means he's easily satisfied. So we know that Shivji, he is easily satisfied. Why is that? Because he's so deeply absorbed. Somebody comes to ask him, say, yes, okay. Yes, okay. So there's a debate in Srimad Bhagavatam. How come that Shivji so easily gives benedictions, and his worshippers, they can become very rich, but Vishnu, his worshippers, they tend to become poor? Why does this happen? So it's explained there that Shivji will give benedictions whether or not they're favorable. So for example, Vrikasura, he wanted this benediction that anyone whose head he touched would blow to pieces. And he actually had his eye, he wanted to enjoy with Parvati. He wanted to do that. He wanted to actually touch Shivji's head. And in the end, Vishnu came as a small brahmachari, small boy, and tricked him into touching his own head. So that wasn't a favorable benediction. And then Kamsa Maharaj, earlier, Kamsa Maharaj was worshipping Rangadev, Rangeshwara Mahadev. It's just around the back of Keshaji Gaudiya Mat in Mathura. So Rangeshwara Mahadev was watching when Krishna jumped up to Kamsa, pulled him down off Kamsa Tila, that hill is still there, and smashed him to death. So Mahadev will give benedictions, but they aren't always favorable. And oftentimes when demons worship Mahadev to get some benediction, he will make a loophole so that ultimately they meet their destruction, especially at Krishna's hands. On the other hand, Vishnu, Lord Vishnu, will not give those benedictions which are unfavorable. So this distinction is there. So these two places, Ter-kadamba, Bhajan Kutir Shri Rupa Goswami, meeting place of Radha and Krishna, and then Ashishvara Mahadev, where Parjanya Maharaj performed austerities. Hare Krishna, Vanchakapatarubhishya, Kripasanubhishya, Putitanam Bhavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha.
Dandavat Maharaj, thank you very much. It was beautiful as ever, really wonderful descriptions. Just to check one thing, the austerities done at Ashishvara Mahadev, they were done both by Krishna's grandfather and by Krishna's father Nanda, is that right?
No, I don't think so. I think that Parjanya Maharaj performed austerities. That's what I've heard, that just Parjanya Maharaj performed austerities.
Sorry, who?
Parjanya is the father of Nanda-baba, and Tridani Maharaj is our sage, is nodding his head. So
Yeah, Krishna's grandfather, yeah?
Yeah, but not Nanda.
That's what I said, Krishna's grandfather and Krishna's father.
Yeah, yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is no, just his grandfather.
Oh, only Parjanya. Only Parjanya. Nanda doesn't
only
have
Parjanya.
any
Okay, I got that wrong. Thank you. So not his father. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, wonderful. Okay, we're going to move back to Sripad Bhaktivedanta Tridandi Maharaj, who I think is going to be galloping very fast around a whole number of places mentioned earlier. So I will hand over speedily to him so we can crack the whip on the horse and move swiftly along. Hari Bol.
Dandavat Yashoda. I'll be holding on to Nemi Maharaj's hand and we'll be walking through together and he'll be prompting me anytime. So don't go away, Maharaj, stay there. Actually, we were reminiscing yesterday how we camped together in Nandagaon many years ago, and we walked from there to Varshana the following day, or we camped in Varshana and then we walked to Nandagaon together. And long time ago anyway, many memories there. But yes, now we have the mercy of Srila Rupa Goswami Pad from the recollections of the pastimes in Ter-kadamba. So this Ter-kadamba is about 2.5 kilometers from Nandagaon, and we've just walked there. Now we retrace our steps back to the main road where our buses have been parked. And now we should quickly take darshan of Nanda-bhavana on top of the hill here. We see the hill, the beautiful Nandishvara. So we're going to walk up many flights of steps and come into the house of Krishna on top of the hill here. And we have a most beautiful family darshan on the altar. We don't actually have a separate photograph of them, but they were in that video that was just aired and with the Janardhan put together. And we have in the center, we have black Balaram and Krishna together, both playing flutes. And Krishna is the personality who is closest to Mother Yashoda, who is on Krishna's right-hand side. Mother Yashoda is on Krishna's right-hand side. And then there's also a murti of Sri Radhika, and there's a very small murti of Rohini Ma on this altar. And then next to Krishna, on Krishna's left is Baladev. And next to Baladev is a very tall Nanda-baba. Practically speaking, Nanda-baba is most prominent on the altar, in fact. And then on the left of Nanda-baba are 2 cowherd suckers. There's Madhumangal and Subal are there. Or sometimes people say Sridham, but actually Subal. Subal and Madhumangal. They are always in the house with Krishna. So this is the residence of Krishna while he's residing principally in Braj. This is after they've moved from, yes, beautiful. We have this picture. We can see the 2 cowherd boys. We can see Nanda, very imposing. Then we see the 2 central personalities. So the personality next to Mother Yashoda. I can remember when I first had darshan of these in my life, that I was looking at them very confused, wondering who was which. And all of a sudden, mystically, Krishna's whole dress and all his cloths began to shake very vibrantly. There was no wind. None of the other cloths were shaking. So I assumed Krishna was indicating that that was him next to Mother Yashoda. And of course, this is correct. That's Krishna next to Mother Yashoda. On the other side of Mother Yashoda is Srimati Radhika. And you can't see on this picture, but there is a small deity of Rohini. Mother Rohini is there. So this is the family. This is the family home where Krishna remains. And Jiva Goswami gives a very beautiful description in his Gopal Champu of the numbers of rooms, the bedrooms, the dining room, the kitchens, the place where Srimati Radhika would change her cloths, etc. She would cook here, as our Bhaktivedanta Nemi Maharaj was very nicely describing. She would come from Jabat and then she would cook, because she had the boon from Durvasa Rishi that anything she cooked would taste like nectar and increase the lifespan of that personality. So yes, this is the steps leading to the temple. Very steep steps, because it's at the pinnacle of the hill. And very, very beautiful. 5,000 years ago, we can imagine just how imposing this beautiful regal palace. Nanda-baba is often described as Brajaraj. He's the king of Braj, and Krishna is the prince in Braj. So it was a very imposing palace, and much facility, of course, for all of the sakhas and all of the gopis. Mother Yashoda had such an intimate relationship with Sri Radhika and all the other sakhis and all the manjaris. It's described again in Vilap Kusumanjali how she would hold them to her breasts when she met them. They would come daily to cook, and then they would come later on to get the remnants from Krishna, because Krishna would be fed there in the Bhojan Laya, a place of dining, etc. Krishna would sit with Nanda-baba and Balaram, and all the Sakhas would actually come and take their meals there in Nanda-bhavan before they went cow grazing. Because remember, I spoke before to try and get us in sync with Krishna's age. So Krishna's age, by the time he reached Nandagaon, was practically on the Poganda age. This is when he's 6 years old. He has this first Gopastami from Nandagaon, but he has the second Gopastami when he's older is from Nandagaon, and the first is from Vasant, the village, on their way from Gokul. So that's the geography, that's the journey, so to speak. So all the time Krishna's living here, he's from the ages of 6 until 10 years old when he goes to Mathura, because quite close by is that wicked road, that ghastly road is called Akrura Rasta. Even it's there today, and only buffaloes use it, but you can still have it pointed out to you where Akrura came. The Brijvasis will never go on that road. They just let the buffaloes roam on that road. But from this location, we can have darshan of the beautiful family and appreciate that this was Krishna's home where Mother Yashoda, Nanda-baba, so many exceptional pastimes take place here between Krishna and his mother and father. The pastime, of course, of Damodarastakam, of that Dambanda Leela, is in Gokul. That's on the other side of the Jamuna. So don't get the age of Krishna confused at all. Have them completely clear on what pastimes are performed in which locations. So here is very attractive, and we can walk around and we can have darshan of the whole area. We can see actually from the top of the rooftops, they have a whole parapet around this temple, and you can see 7 miles across. If it's not too cloudy and hazy, you can see Varshana. And in between Varshana is Sanket. Sanket means signal or message. This is where they would signal to each other. So this is the sort of extent of the darshan of the surrounding areas we can appreciate from here. So now, very briefly, we've had darshan of this beautiful family. Now we're going to go down the other side of the hilltop. We came up on the side of Ter-kadamba, which is like the eastern side, sorry, the western side. And now we're going to go down the eastern side towards the north. And we're going to go down another set of steps, and we're going to come to a very large kund called Pavan-sarovara. This kund is huge. It's just been recently renovated. It's very, very deep, very clean, very beautiful. And even still today, yes, this is Pavan-sarovara. It's exceptionally, in the summertime especially, it's really cooling to bathe in this kund. And of course, Krishna would come with his sakhas, and they would all bathe on one side. And Srimati Radhika, with all her sakhis, they would be bathing on the other side. And Krishna would dive under, and he would swim right to the other side, and he would grab the feet of the sakhis, particularly Sri Radhika, and pull them underneath. They were so frightened, thinking this is some sort of animal or something. But Krishna would perform this beautiful, sweet pastime and drag them under the waters. So this is described here at Pavan-sarovara. There are so many pastimes between Krishna and the sakhas, and also Krishna and the sakhis would come here. But what we take darshan, and we remember the beautiful pastimes of the childhood play of Radha and Krishna and the sakhas, but just very close by here, just within 20 yards practically, is the Bhajan Kutia of Sanatan Goswami Pad. Just as we just heard that Rupa Goswami had his Bhajan Kutia in Ter-kadamba, then Sanatan Goswami has his Bhajan Kutia here. And it's a very beautiful atmosphere in this Bhajan Kutia, where we can sit. There's a big courtyard, etc., and very beautiful deities there. The sitting place of Sanatan Goswami Pad is there. And we sit here and we hear the exceptional pastimes of the sweetness and speciality of Sanatan Goswami's meditations and his writings. He was tasked by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to compile the orders of the festivals, etc., and about Vaishnava behavior and etiquette. He is the Sambandha Acharya. So his book, like Vilas, Hari Bhakti Vilas, he compiled this, but it was Gopal Bhatta who actually put it all together at the end. So this is some of the work that, yes, this is the sitting place of Sanatan Goswami's Bhajan Kutia. Thank you, Manjalali. Very good, yes. So we sit here, and I was relating the other day how we were there one time with Srila Trivikram Maharaj and Srila Gurudev, and they just had their backs sitting on the floor, very simply, and Srila Trivikram Maharaj was weeping and weeping copiously. So these sorts of moods can be invoked by the sensitive sadhaks when we sit in this place and remember the meditation of Sanatan Goswami and the intimate relationship that he has in his service to Sri Radha and Krishna. In Radha and Krishna's Leela, of course, he's Lavanga Manjari. He's the most exceptional Manjari directly of Sri Radhika. So this whole flavor is there. Also at this place is the Samadhi and the Bhajan Kutia of Krishnadas Babaji, who we've heard on numerous occasions mentioned by the older Prabhupada disciples, especially Achyutananda Prabhu has many memories of Krishnadas Babaji, and that most exceptional friend and bosom friend of our Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So his Samadhi is present at Sanatan Goswami's Bhajan Kuti, just to the side of that. So this is all in the location of Pavana-sarovara. So this is very exceptional and very purifying to be in this particular atmosphere right now. Everything is fresh here because it's like a rural area, and there are only cows and bullocks and trees, etc. around, a very simple Brijabasis. So now from here, we're going to walk around the Parikrama back to the place where the turnoff for Ter-kadamba was. We're not going to go back up the hill and down the other side, but we're going to walk around the hill of Nandishvara. And as we walk around, there's the turnoff to the left, which will take us down to Ter-kadamba. But then we walk a little bit further along and we come to Lalita-kunda. So we stop and we enter into Lalita-kunda and we see this beautiful, pristine kund. And in the middle of the kund, yes, in the middle of the kund, there's an island, in fact. And it's like a wildlife sanctuary, just like in Surya Kund, when we go there. It's like so many birds and so on will take shelter there. Large, white heron-type birds. So there's a beautiful pastime here when Lalita Devi, she's stringing a garland. And Narad, he's peeping through the bushes and he's observing what the Sakis are doing. And just Lalita's there with a few Sakis and she makes the garland, but then she keeps breaking it again and discarding it. And Narad becomes interested. Why is she doing like this? So he comes forward and inquires, why do you keep just discarding that garland? And Lalita Saki, she says, because it's not the right size. I'm making this garland for Sri Radhika to give to Krishna. So Radhika has instructed me to make it just the right size for Krishna. So she keeps making it again and again. And then Narad, he says very cunningly, he says, oh, but Krishna's just close by with the Sakas. Why don't you call him? And then you can put it on him directly and make sure it's the right size. And then you can give it to Radhika to again give it to Krishna. So Lalita, she thinks this is a great idea. So Narad, he calls Krishna just to come briefly to see Lalita Devi. And Krishna, he comes. And then Lalita has the pleasure to put the garland on Krishna directly to get it exactly the right size and so on. And at this time, Narad, he's been promised a boon some time ago by Krishna directly that one day he will see Lalita and Krishna sitting on a swing together. So Narad thinks this is a great time to perform this pastime. And just close by, there's a beautiful swing here at Lalita-kunda. So Narad suggests, why don't you and Krishna sit on the swing and take a swing just to get the swing well working before Radhika comes to sit with Krishna, just to make sure of the size, etc., just like with the garland. So Lalita, first of all, she says, no, I'm not going to sit with Krishna on the swing. But eventually she becomes persuaded to do so. So then she sits with Krishna on the swing, and the Sakhis, they swing her joyfully. And then, of course, Narad, he runs straight to Radhika, and he starts singing in front of Radhika. Oh, Krishna and Lalita Devi are swinging together at this beautiful kund just close by. And Radhika she's pinched. Why is Lalita Devi swinging with Krishna? This is not correct. And because Radhika has been delayed by the Sakhis. So now she quickly gets all the paraphernalia and decorations for their pastimes, and she quickly comes to Lalita-kunda, and there she sees that Lalita and Krishna are in fact swinging together. And of course, Radhika, she immediately goes into man, witnessing this, and then Krishna jumps quickly off the swing, but is able to pacify her man, because Radhika has such affection for Lalita. She knows there must be something else to this pastime beside just a desire to have a conjugal connection with Krishna, outside of when Radhika is directly telling her to do like that. Like every single day in Radha-kunda, Srimati Radhika, she requests Krishna to go to all the different kunjas with all the principal Sakhis and to engage with them when they're resting after their honeymead drinking session. So this pastime takes place here at Lalita-kunda, a very joyful, sweet, happy pastime. And Narad, of course, he's chuckling that he managed to produce this particular ras or flavor between the divine couple. And of course, Lalita, she's also happy to have facilitated this, because whenever there's a rise of man, there always is the pacification of that. And there's a great immense of sweetness that unfolds after the man is broken. This pranaya comes generally after man. Sometimes in Braj, pranaya comes even first, but after that stage of pranaya, then there's rag, anurag, bhav, mahabhav, etc. So these various stages, they have to be ignited consecutively to reach the highest pitch. So Narad is very happy to have done this. So now we take darshan here, we take some archaman on our heads, and we hear this particular pastime. And now we're going to come back to the main road again, where we've just come circumambulated around from Pavana-sarovara, and we're going to walk to the left. I'm going to walk along the road a little bit, and then off to the right, we're going to walk for about a few hundred yards, and we're going to come to Nanda-bhavana. This is the place where Nanda-baba would have meetings with all the elder gopas, particularly Upananda, Abhinanda, Sunanda, Nandananda, his brothers. They would all meet here. And this is the famous story that Srila Gurudev always speaks here, and sometimes he gets us to enact here. Our Nemi Maharaj will remember this story very well. Is Nemi Maharaj still with us? Nemi Maharaj. You just want to unmute Nemi Maharaj for a minute? Nemi Maharaj, would you just like to relate this particular story? When the Gopas, they come to Nanda-baba, we think your son is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No, I think Nemi Maharaj must have gone away. Anyway, they say that we think your son is actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We just saw him lift Govardhan Hill. We've seen him kill all these demons. And they start relating all of Krishna's great glories. And then Nanda-baba, he begins to laugh and laugh and laugh. How can this little boy possibly be the Supreme Personality of Godhead? He cries when he's hungry. He pulls tantrums. He steals. He lies. He does all sorts of bad things, you know? How can he possibly be the Supreme Personality of Godhead? And anyway, even if he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is my son. So regardless of whatever you think. And actually at this time, Nanda-baba, he's saying, I don't think that you Gopas develop your real teeth until you're 80 years old. I don't think you actually mature properly until you're about 80 years old. Oh, Nemi Maharaj has come back. Nemi Maharaj, you want to add anything to this pastime? Because I can remember many times that Nemi Maharaj, Bhaktivedanta Padmanabha Maharaj, I think.
And Vaikanas Maharaj.
Vaikanas Maharaj in particular. Yes. All would put on big turbans and act out this. Nemi Maharaj, you comment. Here, we're at Nanda-bhavana.
Yeah. It's Nanda-baba's being harassed by his brothers that you're not treating Krishna nicely. And then he starts laughing and laughing. Oh, I heard that cowhead men don't become mature until they're 80. Now I see it's true. The Chaitanya Maharaj is, all his reasoning. And in the end, everybody's laughing at Krishna, the Supreme Personality of God. I think it's the funniest thing.
Yes.
So one time we were there with Gurudev and Pujabhai Srila Trivikram Maharaj. So after Gurudev had narrated this whole pastime, so Srila Trivikram Maharaj, he took the microphone. He said, actually, Krishna is Nanda-baba's grandfather. And Gurudev said, what? He said, yes, because he's coming from Brahma, and then Krishna is the father of Brahma. And Gurudev grabbed the microphone off him, and he delivered more nectarian Braj pastime. Srila Trivikram Maharaj, who really knew how to tease Srila Gurudev.
Yes.
Okay, I hand back to Chaitanya Maharaj.
Srila Trivikram Maharaj would always like to inspire Gurudev's heat in defense of Sri Radhika. And constantly he would be poking that actually Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Srila Gurudev would always have to defeat him. So actually these debates, yes, with Ashishvara, these debates were so instructive for us, because this tattva, as we've discussed on a number of days, is a very subtle tattva for us to appreciate. In our discussion of the Damodarastikam verses also, we've been talking about this topic. But now, right close beside this Nanda-bhavana is Halbalau. This is the place where Mother Yashoda would threaten Krishna. This is where a ghost stays. And we would always come to this place of Halbalau. And this is where they will go. And there's little figurines now. We can have darshan of these figurines that are meant to be, oh, that's it, you've got it. Yes, this is Halbalau. So Mother Yashoda would threaten Krishna, if you are out late, if you don't come home and take your prasadam at the right time, then, the ghosts, that they will come and harass you, they will catch you. And Krishna, his eyes would become wide, But don't forget Krishna's age here. Krishna's age is 6 years and upwards from here. It is not such a small baby, but nevertheless, he was still intimidated by the Halbalau ghosts and goblins there. So this place is right next to Nanda-bhavana. Now, moving along, we're going to come back to the main road. Just make sure I haven't. Oh, yes. Now we're going to come to the most sacred place, actually, in this whole vicinity, even possibly more sacred than Ter-kadamba, more sacred even than the bhajan stali of Sanatana Goswami. We're going to cross over the road from Nanda-bhavana, and we're going to walk about 1 kilometer through a dry area with just a few trees, and we're going to become to this immensely sacred holy place of Uddhava-kyari. This is the place where the gopis, they stayed for 100 years, waiting for Krishna's return from Mathura and Dwarka. Yes, this is Uddhava-kyari, and we're circumambulating. There's a beautiful murti now of Uddhav there. When we first would come here, there was practically nothing, just a few scrubby trees. And then there was one Baba, his name's Sakhi Baba. And he came here, Gurudev was very pleased with this particular Baba. It's interesting to note that our Bhaktivedanta Nemi Maharaj was relating about how Gurudev had this relationship with Ter-kadamba. He also had a very intimate relationship here at Uddhava-kyari with the Baba. And he would always encourage us to give money to this Baba. This Baba lived alone, and he somehow or other erected a fence around this area. This area, actually, just for your information, belongs to the Forest Commissioner. Right now, it belongs to the Forest Commission. And he's squatting there, basically. He doesn't have permission to be there, because I built the gut that goes, there's a very beautiful kund here called Vishaka Kund, because this is also the Rasa Lila of when Krishna performs with Vishaka and the Priyanam Sakhis, right here, simultaneously, as this extraordinary place of separation. So there was one time in Germany when in Paderborn, when Srila Gurudev was describing this pastime, how Uddhav, he comes on the request of Krishna from Mathura, and he stays the evening with Nanda-baba and Mother Yashoda, and then he comes in the morning to bathe in Krishna-kunda, which is just at the bottom of Nanda-bhavan. And as he looks up, he sees across this immense forest of huge kadamba trees. Kadamba trees even today are huge and immense. What to speak of 5,000 years ago. And deep within that forest, he sees an illumination of light, very bright. And then he conjectures, oh, this must be the gopis. This is where the gopis are still remaining, because this is the route that Akrura took the chariot when Krishna departed. I just said previously, if you have the map that I'm describing in your head, basically, this road of Akrura Rasta runs at the back of Uddhava-kyari, this Akrura Rasta. So the gopis, when Akrura took Krishna away, it's described that they remained standing like painted dolls in a landscape until the last grain of dust had landed on the ground after the chariot. So they remained in this place without leaving. Expansions of their forms went back into the village, but they remained themselves in this place, remembering only their beloved Sri Krishna. And their separation mood was so extraordinary. And at this point, the beautiful pastime in the 47th chapter of this Brahmara Gita is told in the 10th canto, where these 10 expressions of divine madness manifest from Sri Radhika in response to Uddhav coming to this place. This place is called Uddhava-kyari because it's the place where Uddhav came. So that's the name given. So when we know the story, the pastime, it's actually a long pastime and could do with a whole 40, 50 minutes. But when Srila Gurudev ever comes here, he goes into an exceptionally grave mood because it's a place of intense meeting and separation simultaneously. The meeting is at Vishaka-kunda, where the Ras Leela was performed, but the separation is to appreciate the gopis who were here for 100 years and 100 nights. 365,000 nights they remained here in this place. Is that the right mathematics? 365,000 nights they were here in Uddhava-kyari in extreme separation moods. And when Uddhav comes, Sri Radhika, on the inspiration of either Krishna or the reality of a bumblebee coming and harassing her lotus feet, and Sri Radhika is having a conversation in her madness, her divyan mad, with this bumblebee. And she's saying, oh, don't come around my feet. You've still got the kumkum of those queens in Mathura on your whiskers. She's feeling very jealous towards Krishna. This is the mood of a hurt lover. Why hasn't Krishna returned? He said he would be back after 3 days. We are only maintaining our lives with our life airs within our bodies simply on the remembrance of his words that he will return. We know that if we leave our bodies, which is what we actually want to do because the pain is almost intolerable, that Krishna, when he returns, he'll be disappointed that we're not here. So they hold their life air within their bodies, but they are in this highest stage of Mohan Akya Mahabhav. This Mohan Akya Mahabhav is in the same intensity as Madanakya Mahabhav. Madanakya Mahabhav is the meeting when these 8 blazing Sattvika bhavs are prominent. And Mohan Akya Bhav is when 8 blazing Sattvika bhavs are also prominent. But one is meeting and one is separation. There is some distinction here, a very beautiful flavor of distinction. So the gopis, they experience these high extreme states of consciousness here. But at this time, this bumblebee comes around to Sri Radhika. And these 10 verses describing the different moods of Sri Radhika, they're called Chitra Jalpa. And Rupa Goswami, he opens these out very beautifully. There's 10 types of Chitra Jalpa. There's Prajalpa, Parijalpa, Vijalpa, Ujalpa, Panjalpa, Avajalpa, Abhijalpa, Ajalpa, Pratijalpa, and Sujalpa. And remarkably, we can track a sort of a rhythm, so to speak, between these rising jalpas. It begins very harsh criticism towards Krishna in jealous anger, and it reaches a pitch with the 5th verse, this Sanjalpa. It's described that speech that decries with deep irony and the insulting behavior of the beloved about his ingratitude and complete lack of love. This is what Sri Radhika is speaking in front of Uddhav. And remember, Uddhav is a Jnani Bhakta in the sense that he only understands that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How can he possibly be chastised by Sri Radhika in such a direct way, calling him ungrateful, calling him lacking in complete love? So Uddhav is totally astonished by witnessing this. And then these jalpas, they gradually come out of that deep anger mood. And the final jalpa, the sujalpa, it comes from the heart of the beloved, of sincerity. And then Radhika is inquiring about Krishna with gravity, humility, and unsteadiness, but with a unique eagerness. So Rupa Goswami unpacks this entire remarkable conversation. This is called Brahmara Geet. This is the 5th of the Geets in the Bhagavatam. So this pastime takes place right where we're standing right now. This 100 years of separation. We cannot imagine what that must have been. It's beyond thinking about. Of course, every time they reach this pitch of Mohanakya Mahabhav, Krishna in Dwarka, he's also being influenced by that same mood from Radhika. And he also just slumps. Or in the nighttime, he just calls out loudly, Radhe, Radhe, Radhe. Lalita Devi, Vishaka, he's calling for the gopis. So these are areas that the sadhak wants to delve into for the rest of his life here. For the rest of our time and our practices here, we want to dive into the nuances of these descriptions between Radha and Krishna, particularly at this Uddhava-kyari. So as I said, also it's the meeting place, it's Vishaka Kund. There's a beautiful kund here. And as I mentioned, I was able to make an offering to build the steps. There's the gut before we had to climb down the bank. But now we have a very respectable gut that we can actually take bath here. But when we were building it, we ordered all the bricks and the concrete and the cement. And then the local forestry commission, they came across and they said, no, you can't build here. This is our land. This actually geographically belongs to the forestry commission. So we had to wait for a few days and pretended to take everything back. And then in the night, we came with 8 or 9 mysteries, and we quickly put it up in a single night. So the next day, it was already up. So they didn't even know it had been done, basically. We made it look like warm. But anyway, it's there now for the devotees' pleasure to bathe in this remarkable kund. This kund is exceptional because every time you look at it in any season, you can see the bottom of the kund. It has some type of lichen growing in it, which makes the kund crystal clear. And you can see right down to the bottom. It's always exceptionally clean. It's a mystical kund. It's so beautiful. And right beside there, there's the Murti of Uddhav. So all of this atmosphere is Uddhav Kund, where we have the fortune to be for a very short time today anyway, because we still have other places to cover on our journey. But this is, but in this particular place of 100 years, the gopis waited for Sri Krishna to reappear. So it's a place of deep lamentation as well as deep union in the Ras Leela. So there's beautiful verse, of course, that Uddhav he chants this Asamaho Charana Renu Jusam Aham Shyam, that he wants to become the bush or the creeper in this place. But actually we describe this in Kusum-sarovara and Uddhava-kunda. We described much of the nature and personality of Uddhava at that time. But generally, if we're on a walking parikrama, we will spend quite a bit more time here in Uddhava-kunda. It's a most exceptional place to become deeply absorbed in the moods and specialities of the gopis, in their highest moods of extreme separation from their beloved Sri Krishna. So now from Uddhava-kunda, we're going to come back to the main road. We're going to walk back, take our tracks back across the mile-and-a-half distance to our buses area. And now we're going to go to the left on the road back to our Giridhari Gaudimat. And on the way back, we're going to come to the township first in the center of Sanket, and then we're going to come to Prema-sarovara. And our dear Bhaktivedanta Nemi Maharaj is going to hold our hands and take us through Sanket and Prema-sarovara. So Uddhava-kyari ki jai, Nanda-bhavana ki jai, Lalita-kunda ki jai, Sanatan Goswami ki jai, Nanda-bhavana ki jai, Haubalao ki jai, Pavan-sarovara ki jai, Nandagaon ki jai, Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. So, Panchakalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhavivacha, Patitanam Pavnibhyo Vaishnavi. Nemi Maharaj. You need to be unmuted.
Gyananjana Shlakaya Chakshurunilitanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Gurudev ki jai, Shri Bhakti Maharaj ki jai, Shri Rupanu Guruvarga ki jai. My humble obeisances, my Prabhupada, my Gurudev, Shri Bhakti Bharati Maharaj, all our acharyas, all Vaishnavas here and in the future, headed by Chidandigan, Chidandi Maharaj, and my God brothers, God sisters, headed by Achyutananda Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. So this Sanket, Sanket means message. And Radha and Krishna, we know they're in Parikiya ras. Parikiya means it appears like an illegal, amorous relationship. It's not illegal because actually Srimati Radhika is Krishna's internal potency. She's the nearest and dearest to Krishna. Nothing is closer. And in the spiritual world, there's no husbands, nothing like that goes on. But here, to enhance the pastimes, to make it more difficult, on the one hand, to make it more difficult for Radha and Krishna to meet, and also so that the gopis have to go to the extreme renunciation of all their family connections, even their beautiful apparent feminine qualities, chastity, patience, all these things. Srimati Radhika is the most chaste because she never thinks of anyone except Krishna. She's Krishnamaya. She never thinks of anybody except Krishna. But within the worldly context, it looks as though this is a transgression, so it has to be kept very, very secret. And then there are different ways for them to signal to each other that where the meeting is going to be. Sometimes it's something in the food in that Srimati Radhika's preparing, or her manjris, her young attendants, they go to, in the evening, they'll go to Nandagaon to bring nice cakes and foodstuff that Srimati Radhika's cooked. She doesn't go that time in the evening, only morning. But they'll go, and they'll also pass on messages and bring back messages. And the prasadam remnants, of course. So Sanket, it's the place where Radha and Krishna met first time. It's between Varshana and Nandagaon. So there was some message, and then they met here for the first time. And we came here, I mean, we came here with Srila Gurudev on one occasion. I remember Srila Gurudev was sitting in the corner. I think we saw the picture of Veera Devi, who's the messenger there, duty. So in the Gurudev was sitting in the corner on a one of those bedsteads, Braj bedsteads, and he was relating the Shantalila. How Radha and Krishna, having performed their pastimes during the night, then they're waking up and not waking up in the morning. They don't want to wake up. They're so entranced, they're coming out of their state of union, being close to each other, being one with each other. And Brinda Devi is becoming anxious because, like in the Mangalarti song, Jagarani Vishwa Hoya, Jagarita Hoya. When Tava Jagarani, when you wake up, everybody else wakes up. So people are going about their business. It's time for you to go back. We don't want you to be discovered. But Radha and Krishna, held by the ecstasy of being together. Then Brinda Devi is calling the cuckoos, cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. There's different kind of cuckoo there. And the peacocks also, ke ka, ke ka, ke ka. No, still they don't want to wake up. Then a cockerel comes and makes a harsh sound, and Radhika half opens her eyes and says, "Go crow in hell." And then Vrinda is becoming more alarmed. So she brings a female monkey, Kakati. And Kakati says, "Oh, it's time to wake up. The sun is coming. The sun's rays are like matted locks." Some matted locks in, I don't know, in Brajbas or in Sanskrit, Jotila. Jota. Jata. So when they hear this word, Jotila, Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says their patience comes to like a small pool in their hands, and immediately they have to get up. And then the young, Srimati Radhika's young attendants come in. Lalita Vishaka, they cannot come. This is too private. So the attendants come in, and Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur is describing how he's leaning over. Radha and Krishna so close together, so their hairs have become entangled in each other's earrings. And she's carefully, as they're held together in their loving embrace. Such sweet engagement, such sweet service. So she's disentangling the hair from the earrings, and then any there's beetle marks on the cheeks, that has to be washed away. And in no time at all, Srimati Radhika's manjaris, they've dressed them perfectly. They've dressed Srimati perfectly. Her eyeliner, everything is in perfect shape, as though she's been sitting all night in meditation. So then Radha and Krishna, they come out, or sometimes Srimati Radhika comes out. Krishna is left inside. Srimati comes out, and then she's joking with her girlfriends that her girlfriends say, "Oh, did you achieve Niranjan?" So Niranjan means impersonal liberation, but it also means Nir-anjan means did your eyeliner get washed off? All your black decorations get washed off? She says, "No, just see. I spent the whole night in meditation. You put me alone with this rascal person, but I stayed alone and meditated in my chastity." And they're joking and laughing like this, and Krishna inside, he's laughing, and then he comes out, and Lalita Devi heads up the Arti ceremony, and she's worshipping Radha and Krishna so that, or she's offering Arti to remove obstacles. And this is to remove obstacles to their meeting. And then in the meantime, the manjaris, some of the manjaris, Rati manjari, Tulsi manjari, they're using their hair as chamara, black chamara. So, and each hair represents like a lifetime. So they're offering millions and millions of lifetimes in service to Radha and Krishna. So in this way, they have to part, and they're going back in deep separation. Radha going back to Yavat, and Krishna going back to Nandagaon in deep, deep separation. Sorry about the noise here. So this is Sanket. Just close to Sanket here, there's Gopal Bhatt Goswami's Bhajan Kutir. He stayed here for some time. Gopal Bhatt Goswami, he's one of the 6 Goswamis, Gunamanjari, and he is the extraordinary Vaishnava who, by his devotion, caused Radha Raman to appear from a Shalagram Shila. This beautiful, very, very dearly beloved Radha Raman deity appeared from a Shalagram Shila. We've described that pastime already. And Gopal Bhatt Goswami today in India is the disappearance of Srinivasacharya. So Gopal Bhatt Goswami, he's the Diksha Guru of Srinivasacharya. He performed bhajan here. We used to have a nice breakfast here. With Shri Gurudev, there's a big Rasalila platform celebrating the Rasalila. And then there's a big swing. And then there's a tiny little temple of Purnamasi Yogamaya in the corner there. So these are some of the pastimes and some of the moods of Sanket. So it's very much about meeting here. Meeting and then, and then separation in the morning also. Both separation and meeting, separation and meeting. And then down the road, Prema-sarovara. Oh, there's one I forgot to mention when in connection with Ter-kadamba. Once we were walking to Ter-kadamba from the main road, somewhere the buses weren't going that time, and I managed to be close to Gurudev. So we came to a lake on the way, and Gurudev turns to me, and he's got the loudspeaker, so he's talking to everybody, but he's talking directly to me. He says, "You see, these Indian flowers, we have Indian flowers here. They're very flavor. They have very nice aroma, very nice scent. But Western flowers, they have no scent at all. No scent." So then we went on. And then later on, when we got back to the buses, he was standing talking with somebody outside one of the buses. And I came up to him and I said, "Srila Gurudev, can you give Western flowers a scent?" And he looks at me and says, "Yes." That was the end of that interaction. So Prema-sarovara also very, very deep mood. This beautiful kunda was made by Vajranath. And there's a very special pastime here. Radha and Krishna, they're together with all their sakis and some sakas also, some cowherd boys. Madhumangal is there. One bumblebee is bothering Srimati Radhika, thinking that her lotus feet are lotus flower. And she's the mistress of all energies, but in the pastime, she becomes bothered by this bumblebee. So Madhusudan, very gallantly, with his stick, he chases the bumblebee away.
Madhumangal.
So then he came back and he said, Madhusudan is gone. So Madhusudan, Madhu means honey, Sudan means drinking. So Madhusudan is a name for bumblebee, but it's also a name for Krishna. So Madhumangal said, "Oh, Madhusudan is gone, he'll never come back." And Radha was sitting in Krishna's lap. She said, "Oh, Madhusudan's gone, he'll never come back." And she went into deep, deep separation, crying and fainting. And then Krishna's entranced, and he's also crying, and then he's fainting. And then they're all like a beautiful lotus flower. And they're all crying and fainting. And all these tears, they came together to make this Prema-sarovara. So it's at this point, this is a very crucial pastime, because it's at this point that Krishna, he says, "I see that when we're together, Shrimati Radhika, Radha, my Swamini, she's in so much separation. But in separation, she feels so close to me. When the dark cloud comes, she'll loosen her hair. Or she'll chastise the cloud, say, where have you been? Thinking the cloud is me. When she comes to a tamal tree, she embraces a tamal tree. On one occasion, she was coming with her sakis, and she's, I don't know, it's like she's tripping on praying. So they're coming up and they see Krishna, and she's looking, she says, oh, this tamal tree is just like my Krishna, just like my Priyatama. And the Sakis say, well, why don't you just go and hang on that tamal tree and we'll look for Krishna? And she comes on and she's embracing Krishna, thinking this is a tamal tree. And then gradually she comes back and Krishna's laughing, and then all laughing as she becomes embarrassed, sweetly embarrassed. So Krishna's thinking that in separation, they feel so close to me, but in meeting, they feel so much separation. So I should go. I don't understand his logic, to be honest. I don't agree with it, but anyway. So he said I should go. And that's when he decided that actually, in order to intensify their love for him, he had to leave Braj. This is a tragic decision. It took place at this place, at Prema-sarovara here. So it's very, very intense mood here. And as a result of that, he went to Mathura and Dwaraka. But every day in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is dancing in front of Jagannath, and he's enacting this drama between Radha and Krishna. And Krishna is saying, every day I come from Dwaraka, I'm associating with you, but you think it's a spurti. But I promise that I will come back, and I'll come back so that everyone can see me. So these moods, we were there with Srila Gurudev, and I remember him sitting on the platform, all devotees there beneath the platform, right next to Prema-sarovara. He said, so he'd related this whole pastime, and he said, no, so now you offer obeisances. So everyone offered obeisances and sat up, waiting for Sri Gurudev to speak. And then Gurudev said, now offer obeisances again with mood. So we offered obeisances again. And I came back some years later, years after Srila Gurudev had passed away, and remembering that pastime, that interaction with him, and tried to offer obeisances again with some mood. So Srila Gurudev is emphasizing mood on Parikrama. Mood, the whole thing is mood. He says, why are we offering obeisances? We're offering obeisances to sticks and stones? No. We're offering obeisances to the pastimes, which are themselves personalities, and the moods of the pastimes, and praying that these moods will come into our hearts. So with this goal, to get the mercy of the different personalities whose places we're visiting, and the places themselves are also personalities, with this goal, we're performing Parikrama under the guidance of Srila Gurudev and his representatives, and praying for mercy that somehow these moods will awaken in our heart, just like at the beginning of the Mangalarti song. So praying that this mood, this rati, will awaken within our hearts. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhasya kripasamudravaccha putitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah.
Nandagaon Maharaj, thank you. That was very beautiful. Yes, there were certain refrains that Srila Gurudev was famous for, like "Do not criticize," "Step on the head of all your problems," "I'm closer to you than the air that you breathe," and
"Don't
mood.
be weak, don't be hopeless."
Don't be hopeless, yeah, and mood.
Don't be
mood.
weak, don't be hopeless.
Yeah, and mood, as you brought up, mood. It's all about mood. At the end of the day, like Sridhani Maharaj was saying yesterday about I think it was yesterday you were saying about the horse of Tapla. Yes, we have to have the Tapla, but it's actually the ras that will carry us over, and we cannot have ras without mood. So thank you for stressing that. Just one question before we move back to Sridhani Maharaj. I love the way Sanskrit has one word and multiple meanings. It's very, very interesting. and there was a word you used for impersonal liberation and something about eyeline being removed at the same time.
Niranjan.
Something. Sorry?
Niranjan.
Niranjan. Okay.
Yeah. Niranjan means liberation, but Anjan is also this decoration. It's the eyeliner, I think. Tridani
Yeah.
Maharaj, correct?
Eyeliner, yes, yes.
So
Anjan sounds better, but yeah.
if the hero and the heroine are kind of closely engaged in pastimes, it may be that the heroine's makeup gets disturbed. And this eyeline, especially if, anyway, there are particular reasons why the eyeliner might get washed away. So then becomes Niranjan in that sense as well. I mean, just like when we were at school, you know, we had like schoolboy dirty jokes. So the gopis' humor is like that. They're cracking these puns, very sophisticated Sanskrit puns.
Beautiful, thank you. So I think we're going back to our beloved Tridandi Maharaj, who's going to be honoring Sri Gadadhar Goswami and Sri Srinivasacharya and Sri Dhananjaya Pandit Das's all disappearance days. Haribol Maharaj.
Gurave Gaurachandra, Radhikai Tadale, Krishna Bhaktai, Tadabhaktai Mahar. All glories to Srila Gurudev and Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Bhaktivedanta Nemi Maharaj. That was so nice description of Sanket. I was there with you. You held my hand all the way through. I was very grateful, and Prema-sarovara in particular, and praying down with mood. With mood, yes. Wonderful, wonderful memories of these places. Just in retrospect, I've left two things that I didn't emphasize, that when we were in Nanda-bhavana, it was Vraja-mandala, the great-grandson of Krishna, who originally installed the deities on the hill there, of Nanda-baba, Yashoda, of Krishna, Balaram, and Madhu Mangal, and Subal, and Radhika. So that was Vraja-mandala who performed that. Also, we failed to point out the different Charan-pahadis that we passed along the way. There were two Charan-pahadis where we actually saw directly Krishna's footprints. We see Krishna's footprints and the cow's footprints, of course, because when that glorious flute is vibrating, then the stones are melting. So Krishna's footprints would be left there for us to increase our faith and conviction that yes, Krishna was here just briefly 5,000 years ago. So that was also in our Nandagaon Parikrama, which I forgot to mention. But now on this particular day, as we've mentioned already, it's Gopastami, the second Gopastami, coming from Nandagaon when Krishna is 6 years old now. But also today is the disappearance day of three great personalities. There's Gadadhar Das, Dhananjaya Pandit, and Srinivasacharya. So Gadadhar Das in Krishna Leela, he is Purananda, Gopi. And I mentioned him in relationship to Balaram Prabhu when we went to Ram Ghat, that in Ram Ghat, Balaram, he dances with his own gopis. So this personality, Gadadhar Das, don't have any confusion between who is Gadadhar Das and Gadadhar Pandit. Gadadhar Pandit is directly Srimati Radhika. Gadadhar Das is described as sometimes as the effulgence of Sri Radhika, but he also, or she also, has her own separate swarups. She actually has two swarups. One of them is called Chandrakanti, which means in reference to the effulgence of Sri Radhika. And her other swarup is Purananda Gopi, who is one of Baladev's gopis that Baladev principally will dance with. So this is Gadadhar Das. I described also the other day, we were discussing about Nityananda and the Dwadasa Gopal. When the Dwadasa Gopals would travel with Nityananda from Puri back up to Bengal, to Kardahar in Bengal, then the Dwadasa Gopals, Abhiram Das Thakur, Sundarandan Thakur, Parameshwari, Gauridas Pandit, all of these personalities who had been with Mahaprabhu in Puri, they came with Nityananda Prabhu. So Gadadhar Das is also with that group of devotees following Nityananda Prabhu. And it's a very interesting description when all these Dwadasa Gopals, who were very boisterous in their kirtan, just performing ecstatic pastimes, like Abhiram Das Thakur would have his Jai Mangal Wit very dramatically, and Gauri Das Pandit would be exhibiting all kinds of superhuman, like jumping from trees. And Abhiram Das Thakur is described as picking up trees. But Gadadhar Das would also accompany them, because in Balaram Leela, she is a gopi of Balaram. But she wouldn't be doing those sorts of activities. She would be having a clay pot on her hip and be walking around saying, does anyone want to buy any yogurt? Does anyone want any yogurt? Like that. So her mood, or her mood, was very prominent. So this is Gadadhar Das that we are celebrating today. And in just on the outskirts of Calcutta today, near Panihati, there's the Shripat, the
Name Maharaj, are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay, it's Tridandi Maharaj. Okay, it's an Indian thing. He'll probably go offline and then reappear, we hope. Frozen like the gopis at Sanket. Is it Sanket?
No, not
No, the other one.
Uddhava-kyari.
Thank you. Oh, he's off. That's good. If he's gone, that means he's reappeared. Wonderful, Maharaj.
You have to unmute me. Okay, I'm unmuted. You can hear me? You can hear me? Okay. So, yes. So also Dhananjaya Pandit today disappeared. He was another one of the Dwadasa Gopals. He was one of the 12 followers of Nityananda Prabhu. And he has his Shripat, his birthplace, very close to Navadvip here. And he's described as being quite an ascetic personality. He didn't have a family, but he performed great seva in Puri. He's described as one of those personalities in the different parties of Mahaprabhu's Ratha Yatra, Sankirtan parties, those 7 parties. So one of those groups is described as Dhananjaya Pandit was present also. So this is a great exceptional devotee, and we hear principally about his renunciation and his dedication and his total nishtha to Mahaprabhu and principally to Nityananda Prabhu. So today we're celebrating his disappearance day. And also, of course, today is that most celebrated Srinivasacharya. So Srinivasacharya has extensive descriptions about his activities and so on. He didn't get to have darshan of practically any of the Parikas, even though he very much wanted to and tried to. As soon as he reached Puri to have darshan of Mahaprabhu, just a few days previously, Mahaprabhu had left his manifest pastimes, but he got darshan of Gadadhar Pandit, and he had taken shelter, Srinivasacharya, of Narahari Shaka in Srikhand. Narahari Shaka is like the brother of Mukunda Shaka, and they resided, their family home was in Srikhand, and Srinivasacharya took shelter of Narahari Shaka. Mukunda Shaka is the father of Raghunandan, who's another famous personality that we discussed in connection with Mahaprabhu's pastimes. So when Srivas Pandit had darshan of Gadadhar Pandit. Gadadhar Pandit wanted to give him his Srimad Bhagavatam, but his Bhagavatam was covered in tears and could no longer be read. It wasn't legible. So Gadadhar, he directed Srinivas to go and get another copy printed. So that took some weeks to actually do that. And when he returned, Gadadhar had already left his manifest pastime. So again, Srinivas was left bereft. And then he returned to Bengal, and then he wanted to take Diksha from Narahari Shaka, but Narahari Shaka knew that actually his eternal guru is Gopal Bhatta. So he sent him to Vrindavan. So Srinivas, he comes to Vrindavan and he connects with his beloved Gurudev, Gopal Bhatta. And at that time in Vrindavan, he takes shelter of Jiva Goswami. And there he meets Narottam Das and Shyamananda. These three personalities are described as a group, so to speak. We always glorify that. Prabhu Traya, these three Prabhus, they're like the second generation coming after Rupa Goswami and the six Goswamis, then come these three. So there's the beautiful pastimes, of course, we all know this pastime when the books of the Goswamis had all been compiled by Jiva Goswami and were bound in trunks and so on and carried across on a wagon to distribute in Bengal. The Bengali devotees, the Gaudiya devotees were very enthusiastic to get these books, but on the way in Vishnupur, they were hijacked by robbers. So Srinivasacharya felt responsible for these books and he was mortified, and he remained in that city of Vishnupur searching for the books, but he sent Narottam and Shyamananda off. Narottam went to principally what is Assam today and North Bengal, and Shyamananda went down to Orissa. And these two stalwarts, they're responsible for taking the teachings of Mahaprabhu into those lands, into the northern regions of Assam, etc., North Bengal. And practically the whole of Orissa was flooded by the teachings of Shyamananda. But Srinivasacharya, he remains in Vishnupur searching for the books. And then it's described that he begins to speak the Srimad Bhagavatam in the court of the king. And the king reveals at one time, he asks Srinivas, why are you always weeping? And Srinivas was revealing that actually my spiritual master, Jiva Goswami Gopal Bhatta, they entrusted me with all these books and robbers have stolen them from us. And then the king revealed, actually, I was responsible for that. I instructed my men. I had a dream that a great treasure was coming through my kingdom. So I sent my men to steal it. But actually all I found inside of it was books. And then he presents these trunks again to Srinivasacharya, who is so overwhelmed with joy when he retrieves these books that he thought were stolen. And at that time, the king and his queen and all the servants, they all surrender completely to Srinivasacharya. And he initiates the whole kingdom, basically, of the king of Vishnupur, I've forgotten his name, Hemamba, or Hemambir, I think his name is. But he initiates them all. And Srinivasacharya is responsible for initiating thousands and thousands of followers into this Chaitanya line. So that's why he's called Acharya. And his ashram is just north of Navadvip. And we can go there today and see a very beautiful ashram and has very beautiful deities. It's very well tended. And there's rooms you can actually stay there and so on, a very friendly, favorable pujari. So this personality of Srinivasacharya, he also, of course, is responsible for giving us this wonderful astakam of the Sad Goswami astakam manifested in his heart, which we sing regularly. Srinivasacharya, he wanted to have darshan of all these personalities. When he arrives in Vrindavan, Rupa Goswami has just left and Sanatan Goswami has just left. He didn't have their darshan. He didn't have the darshan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So many personalities, by his misfortune, he missed. But nevertheless, he had this astakam manifest in his heart that we sing this Krishna Kirtana Gana Ratana Paro, describing all the activities of the six Goswamis. So we have that great gift for posterity from Srinivasacharya. So to glorify this personality, we cannot glorify him enough, because he is responsible, along with these other personalities, for holding the current of Mahaprabhu's teachings intact for us to develop in future generations. Of course, after this period of time comes Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and then is coming Baladeva Vibhushan, and then after some time, perhaps almost 100 years, comes Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So this current is very much enthused by these three personalities, and Srinivasacharya is one of those principal personalities, along with Narottam and Shyamananda Prabhu. So we very much are grateful and totally indebted to these remarkable personalities who held the current and re-enthused the scriptures, etc., that they produced the scriptures, they distributed them. They were responsible for so much. So we can't walk past them for a single moment without expressing our gratitude for their generous gifts to humanity that we are tasting today. So Srinivasacharya ki jai, Dhananjaya Pandit ki jai, Gadadhar Das ki jai, all the Parikars of Nityananda Prabhu and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. Vanshakapatrudhyascha Kripa Sindhavevacha Patitanam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaha.
Thank you, Maharaj. It can be known, it's beautiful, isn't it, that it's Gopastami, and the two that out of the three disappearance days centers on those personalities who have an eternal form as the cowherd boy.
Yes, and by the way, just for your information, Srinivasacharya is Mani Manjari. Mani Manjari. And I forgot to mention that Dhananjaya Pandit, he's Vasudam. He's the cowherd boy Vasudam in Krishna's Leela. So Vasudam is a very prominent personality.
So Srinivas doesn't have a cowherd form, cowherd boy form.
Manjari form.
No, he doesn't have another. He doesn't have another. Just
they don't all have to. They don't all have to.
No. It would just make it. It would make it perfect on Gopastami. Just one small question due to my own lack of attention. I love that story about Srinivas's Bhagavatam being so wet with tears, he had to go off and create a new volume, which in those days was literally writing it word by word. And by the time he came back, and he seemed to be prone to this, Gadadhar Pandit had left, so he was often in a mood of separation. What was Gadadhar's, I missed why Gadadhar Pandit, what the relationship between the Bhagavatam and these two personalities?
Because Gadadhar Pandit had been instructed internally that he should remain on the planet after Mahaprabhu disappeared, just to give this Bhagavatam to Srinivasacharya. Srinivasacharya was like practically a second incarnation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is how he's described by the different personalities. By Abhiram Das Thakur, he says, oh, I am only seeing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Srinivas. He was considered like that. So Gadadhar is instructed to give that Bhagavatam to Srinivas directly by his own hand. But the Bhagavatam was too washed away with tears. So, and then, but he gave the mood, he gave his heart and the content of the Bhagavatam within the heart of Srinivasacharya.
Oh, so the Bhagavatam was originally Gadadhar's, and he was the one who'd wetted it, not...
Yes, with Mahaprabhu.
Okay, got it. Wow, absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Whoa, wow, amazingly, we made it by 12:05 UK time.
I know. I was
how
watching
that
the clock
happened.
the whole time.
I think the clocks went back again somehow. Well, listen, a massive thank you to both Maharajas who took us on a whistle-stop tour during today's Gopastami of Nandagrama and Ter-kadamba, Asisesvar Mahadeva, Choti Carana-pahadi, Pavana-sarovara, Nanda-baba and Lalita-kunda. I have to say, Uddhava-kyari, we need to do a whole class on that one, Maharaj, as you said. It's such an incredible pastime.
Two classes.
We should arrange that. Nandakhirak, Sanket and Prema-sarovara. And glorifying Sri Gadadhar Das Goswami, Sri Srinivasacharya and Sri Dhananjaya Pandit. Thank you so much. That was breathless but wonderful. And I think we may actually have, but it was very short notice we gave him. We requested Sadh Goswami Ashtakam from our closing kirtaniya. We gave him like 10 minutes. We gave him very little notice, so it may not manifest, but let's see what he has in store for us. It's our very dear Nihari from Hawaii, who I'm going to look for somewhere online and unmute him. Where are you, Nihari? Well, you can't tell me because you're muted. Here we go. Oh, no, that's not you. I'll go through the participants. Hang on.
Baba Tarini, Lemmi Maharaj is saying.
Oh, is it her one? Yeah, got it.
Opportunity.
Yeah, got it. Okay, I'll start. Okay, I've asked you to unmute, Prabhu.
Okay, now we're on. All right.
Fantastic.
Yeah, this is Trini's computer, and she's pretty adventurous. She had an operation just 2 days ago. A day and a half ago, actually, for us. Dandava Sridhanda Maharaj, Nemi Maharaj, Prabhu, Jashavananda, this wonderful program as ever. Yeah, well, I was, we practiced a little bit, so I have, under the request of Sridhanda Maharaj, we have the Sadgoswami Ashtakam coming up for you, by Srinivasacharya. I know it might be a little long, so I don't know if you think, Yashodananda, what do you think, somebody, or we can read the English part of it, is up to you. If not, we'll just do the Sanskrit.
I'm actually going to try and find it online and share it.
Oh, very good. Okay.
Yeah.
You're just going to sing the verse one time, right? Just
yes.
One time through each verse, yes.
Yes.
We'll all sing with you.
We all
each
sing
time.
together.
Just hold on 1 second, Prabhu. Someone has just requested if you can locally record it. So just let me make that possible. Just bear with me 1 second.
So, of course, this is composed by Srinivasacharya, as we've said already.
Okay, Jiva Pavana, Prabhu, you can locally record. All right, Prabhu, we're ready for you.
A little fact that I read today was just really mind-blowing about Srinivasacharya. His father's name was Chaitanya, and he wanted a child. And Lord Chaitanya said, I know what your wish is, Chaitanya, and it will be fulfilled. And that child that was born is Srinivasacharya.
Oh, and tell me about Rupa Goswami and 500 cows.
Oh, yeah.
All right, you ready to go? I'm going to share the screen.
Okay.
Sorry.
Can we do a sound check with you? See if you can hear everything okay?
I think the devotees have to read verses as we go along, because to read the translations would open up a whole nother 40 or 50 minutes worth of appreciation.
I've got it shared, Maharaj.
Okay. But it's on page 264 of the regular songbook. If you have the songbook for the devotees.
Since it's Gopastami, we wanted to mention that Rupa Goswami had 500 cows that he kept in Vrindavan to take care of all the devotees.
Can you hear the guitar?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Krishna Kirtana Gananardana Paro Prema-mritambo Nidhi Dira Dira Jana Priyo Priya Karo Nandi-matsaro pujito. Sri Chaitanya Kripa Bharagubhi Bhuvo Bharabahanta Karo Ande Rupa Sanatana Ragujaro Sri Jiva Gopala Go Ande Rupa Sanatana Ragujaro Sri Jiva Gopala Go Nana Shastradi Charanai Kanipuno Sadharma Samstapako Radha Krishna Padara Binda Vajanam Venamata Vigo Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghujago Sri Jiva Gopala Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghujago Sri Jiva Gopala Sri Gauranga Gunanu Vido Pavota Pani Krinto Tanubritam Govinda Ganamritari Ananda Buddhi Vardhanai Kanipono Yavalya Nishta Karo Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghujago Sri Jiva Gopala Tyagpatu Namashesha Mandalapati Sridin Sadatu Chava Udadi Nagane Sako Karunaya Gopina Kanta Srito Gopi Baba Samrita Dita Hari Kadola Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghujago Sri Jiva Gopala Go Puja Kokila Hamsa Sara Sagana Kine Madhura Kule Nanaratani Badhamala Vitapa Sri Uddha-vyari Radha Krishna Mahamisam Pratavajotu Yamala Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghujago Sri Jiva Gopala Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghujago Sri Jiva Gopala Sankhya Purvaka Namagana Nidraha Vihara Kadi Vijito Chatyanta Dino Chayo Radha Krishna Gunamat Smrite Madhurimandanena Samohito Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghujago Sri Jiva Gopala Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghujago Sri Jiva Gopala Nanda-kunda tate karindi taraya Tire Jaban sibate Premam madavasa ase sada sayagrasto pramato sada angato chakada hare gunavaram baba vibuto muda Vande rupa sanatana raghujago Sri Jiva Gopala Go Vande rupa sanatana raghujago Sri Jiva Gopala Go Radhe Vraje Devike Chalalita he Nanda Sunakuta Sri Govardhana Kalpa Parapatale Kalindi Vanekuta Goshanto iti Sarvato Vraja Pure Kedar Mahabhivado Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghujago Sri Jiva Gopala Go Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghujago Sri Jiva Gopala Go Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Haribo Haribo Nitai Gaur Haribo Nitai Gaur Haribo Haribo Nitai Gaur
Beautiful.
Haribo.
Thank you so much. Listen, thank you for two reasons. Firstly, I didn't know Baba Tarini was going to be performing so soon after our operation. So that's quite extraordinary. Thank you, Didi. Thank you so much. And secondly, you're probably not aware generally, but it is actually 2:15 a.m. where Nihari and Baba Tarini are right now in Hawaii. So it's quite somewhat stereotyped. I don't know if they're getting up early or going to bed late, but thank you so much for making the time for us.
It's Japa time.
Haribol.